Hello and welcome to State of the Union. I'm Stefan Robe in Brussels. Since the coronavirus began, there was the fear of a second wave that might come in the fall. Well, it looks like Europe is being hit by it right now. The easing of restrictions, the reopening of schools and restaurants, and the beginning of the summer have created a sense of normalcy that turned out to be treacherous. In Germany, authorities have put several counties under strict lockdown again after an explosion of infections was seen around a meat processing plant. The Belgian Prime Minister warned of a rebound of cases, and in Portugal, officials fear that a second wave has already hit Lisbon and the Tagus Valley. Those were all elements of a larger picture that, according to the World Health Organization, looks quite depressing.
In the first month of this outbreak, less than 10,000 cases were reported to WHO. In the last month, almost 4 million cases have been reported. We expect to reach a total of 10 million cases within the next week.
In the meantime, we're seeing a lot of people working hard to overcome divisions over the much-anticipated EU coronavirus recovery package. This week, French President Emmanuel Macron traveled to The Hague, which has become the lion's den of the group of naysayers. The aim is, of course, to fix a compromise ahead of the next EU summit, following a rather unsuccessful video conference a week ago. Apparently, those virtual get-togethers don't seem to be yielding much at all. This week, the EU had its first video summit with China since the beginning of the pandemic. And the meeting was tense and only revealed widening differences on almost everything. On Hong Kong and the threat of a new no-nonsense security law, EU leaders were particularly undiplomatic in their diplomatic assessment.
The national security law risks seriously undermining the one country, two systems principle and Hong Kong's high degree of autonomy we wish to see stay in place. So we also conveyed that China risks very negative consequences if it goes forward with imposing this law.
All these major problems, from the pandemic to the economic recovery, from relations with China to Brexit to climate change, and you name it, will soon fall onto the plate of Angela Merkel. On July the 1st, Germany takes over the EU presidency, and expectations are already very high that only Europe's longest-serving leader can fix the problems. I want to bring in Constanze Stelzenmüller now, Senior Fellow at the Brookings Institution, who joins me from Washington. Welcome to the program. Good to see you.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
So, on these high expectations of the German presidency, which are maybe too high, what is Angela Merkel's biggest challenge?
Well, her most immediate challenge still is, let's not forget that, convincing the so-called frugal four countries that they should accept her and French President Emmanuel Macron's European recovery plan, which includes common European bonds.
Now, it's Angela Merkel's second council presidency after 2007, when she played a central role in the negotiation of the Treaty of Lisbon. Could she be again the savior of Europe, or is she a lame duck now that she has already announced her retirement for next year?
I think the lame duck thing has been somewhat disproven by her management of the pandemic, where interestingly, her poll numbers have rocketed upwards. She's again the most popular politician in Germany. And so, will she save Europe? I would say that her experience, her knowledge of the other European leaders, and I think her empathy, particularly for smaller countries and the newer Eastern European countries, is really important as a prerequisite for being able to broker a consensus.
Some say her biggest achievement was already Germany's acceptance of common European debt. You mentioned it, a historic reversal. Do you agree?
I do. I mean, this isn't the Hamiltonian moment some people have called it, because we're not giving the EU taxation powers. We're not giving the EU powers to emit bonds in perpetuity. But for the Germans, and certainly the German conservatives, whom Angela Merkel leads, it was a truly historic reversal, and that should count for a great deal. And I would say particularly with the frugal four governments.
Now, I mentioned it that Angela Merkel has already announced her retirement for next year. Some observers doubt this. So my question is, who will be German Chancellor at the end of next year?
Well, I can tell you one thing, it's not going to be Angela Merkel. I think the woman really wants a break and she deserves it.
All right, Constanze Stelzenmüller, Senior Fellow at the Brookings Institution in Washington. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure. Be well.
Germany is known for a lot of things, like the longevity of its chancellors and the country's excitement for the Eurovision Song Contest, which is remarkable as German performers routinely end up among the worst. This year, the coronavirus spared Germany further national embarrassment as the world's biggest music competition was cancelled. But the Eurovision Song Contest has such a cult status that the US streaming giant Netflix produced a comedy movie that is coming to your home soon. It's the story of Fire Saga, who represent Iceland with the song Volcano Man.
This is Eurovision.
You have to watch that guy. He is a sex player.
Hey, looking good.
Secret, very beautiful voice.
Thank you.
You have to stay focused. We need to win.
What are you doing?
I just want my ding-dong to look bigger than what is really there.
Smart.
Yeah.
I could do a camel.
This is it. We have to prove to Iceland and my extremely handsome father that my life hasn't been a waste.
Hollywood poking fun at Europe, and for once they have a point. Thank you for watching. I'm Stefan Grober. See you next week.